How do you handle billing pauses in your retention schedule? Let's find out in today's episode of SaaS Metrics School. Welcome. Hope everyone is doing well. So addressing a student question in my academy at the SaaSacademy.com, and that's billing pauses and how should we handle this with our revenue retention MRR schedules. So first, let's define a billing pause. So they're paying us, let's say, $1,000 a month, $50 a month, and they can pause maybe somewhere in the app. They can just pause their subscription. And then the following month, their revenue goes to zero. And then it's zero again and zero again. And let's say they reactivate and now we're back to $50 or $1,000 a month, whatever that MRR number is. So what happens here with our retention, which is a great question. We have to understand this if this is part of our pricing model with our customer base. So first, this impacts our MRR schedule, and that's revenue by customer by month. So think columns across the top. We've got months. And then a row, say column A, we've got customer names and we've got revenue by customer by month. Of course, we can segment this, do this by product line. But say you can see a customer A, they're paying 100, 100, 100, it goes 0, 0, 0, 100, 100, 100. And then maybe it stretches for a while, goes back down to zero. So what does this impact with retention? First, it impacts gross revenue retention. And gross revenue retention, again, looks at how much revenue we keep after accounting for contraction and churn, and that maxes out at 100%. And then we have net revenue retention, which then we can take credit for expansion, and hopefully that offsets contraction and churn, and we want that number above 100%. So this will impact your retention calculations, and it will wreak havoc on those calculations because the formulas, whether it's in your software, subscription management, my retention template, it's going to see that customer go to zero. And in that month, it's going to count that customer as churn. So it impacts your customer churn numbers. It impacts your gross revenue retention, and it impacts your net revenue retention because the formulas don't know that that's a billing pause. Now, you may say, hey, that's just the nature of our business model, our pricing model, which is fair to say, but this still will be hard to overcome if you're talking to third parties and presenting your retention, that saying maybe it should be higher because you've got these billing pauses. But what people are not going to like is the unpredictability of your revenue. And we know SaaS companies, recurring revenue companies, get high valuations because of predictable recurring revenue. So if we're introducing a pricing mechanism, something in our application that lets unpredictability creep in to our revenue stream, that's going to, of course, impact revenue because it doesn't matter. There's just no revenue with that billing pause. We can't overcome that. It's going to impact your revenues, your retention, and it's going to cause that unpredictability, which people don't like in SaaS and recurring revenue businesses. So can we overcome this as a CFO? It's hard to say, well, there should be revenue there, but again, there's no revenue. There's no overcoming that. So again, thinking about pricing models, maybe there's a different way to price this, a platform fee that continues, plus a subscription on top of that if they jump back into the application to overcome that. And I've seen that in different businesses, and it is hard because then retention is so hard to calculate, and usually retention is much lower. And again, we know retention is a key valuation driver in SaaS companies. So unfortunately, no good answers here because it creates unpredictability in your SaaS business. But that's what happens when you have billing pauses. And again, as a CFO, my perspective, thinking about, well, are there different ways we can price this? How can we, looking at our revenue streams, the different revenue categories, that maybe we can do something else as part of our platform to get rid of these $0 months? So hopefully you enjoyed today's edition of SaaS Metrics School. If you did, please leave a rating and review. I would love that. And we'll see you next time.